So I hope it'll hold on. It's 5:30, so I'm gonna get it started if everyone's ready.
We're ready. Mr. Ramos, Mr. Robbins is having difficulty, so he's going to call in until he can get his Zoom working correctly. So he'll be on in just a minute, but we can start.
Okay, sounds good. So good evening. I'm calling this meeting to order. The time is 5:30 p.m. In accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code Chapter 551, this meeting is officially open with a quorum present. The following board members are present virtually, and I will now call each of their names in order of their districts, just to verify that they are in attendance. District 2 Trustee Toby Jackson.
Good evening, President Ramos, here representing the 2nd District.
Thank you. Good to see you, Trustee Jackson. District 3 Trustee Quentin Phillips.
Good evening, President Ramos. Quentin Phillips, present, representing District 3.
Good to see you, sir. District 4 Trustee Daphne Brookins.
Good evening, President Ramos. Daphne Brookins, representing District 4.
Good to see you too, Trustee Brookins. District 5 Trustee CJ Evans.
Good evening, present.
Good to see you, Trustee Evans. District 6 Trustee Andar.
Good evening, President Ramos. Andar, representing District 6.
Good to see you, Trustee Dar. District 7 Trustee Norman Robbins, you able to join us? We'll make sure he's on a little bit. We'll check back with him. District 8 Trustee Anay Luevanos.
Good evening, President Ramos. Anay Luevanos, representing District 8, present.
Good to see you, Trustee Luevanos. District 9 Trustee Ashley Paz. We will check back in with Trustee Paz. And I am Jacinto Ramos Jr. representing District 1. On March 16, 2020, Governor Abbott temporarily suspended certain open meetings requirements imposed by the Open Meetings Act to slow the spread of COVID-19. This action permits meetings subject to the Open Meetings Act to be hosted by telephone or video conference. This meeting is being broadcasted live via Spectrum Charter Channel 192, the Forward ISD Ed TV channel on YouTube by searching for YouTube FWISD ED TV and a link provided in the agenda. In accordance with those suspended rules, we certify the following. Notice of this meeting has been posted online for at least 72 hours. 1, although members of the board are not gathered in a central physical location, we do have a quorum in attendance at this meeting by video conference or telephone call. We are meeting by use of Zoom software application, which allows two-way communication for members of the public. As we would at any in-person meeting, members of the public who have followed the instructions on the meeting notice for registering to speak during the public comment portion will be unmuted for 3 minutes to speak. All other meeting procedures will adhere to board adopted procedures to the extent practicable. An audio recording of this meeting is being made and will be available to the public at a later date. We apologize in advance for any unforeseeable difficulties and ask for your patience as we navigate unprecedented conditions. If you have questions about the suspended laws, please call the Office of Attorney General at 888-672-6787 or by email at toma@oag.texas.gov. We will now move to our pledges, which will be held by Mr. Clint Bond.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. Pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, indivisible.
Mr. Bond, I think we will now be moving on to recognitions. We'll turn it back over to you.
Mr. Ramos, we have one recognition this evening. Fort Worth ISD board member Ashley G. Paz has been elected to the Secretary Treasurer post of the Council of Great City Schools Board of Directors. Ms. Paz has served on the policy body's executive committee and in this new role succeeds Michael O'Neill of Boston Public Schools, who became chair of the National Leadership Group. The Board of Directors is the Council of Great City Schools policymaking body comprised of the superintendent and a school board member from each coalition's 76-member big city school districts. Ms. Paz was first elected to the Fort Worth ISD Board of Education in 2013. She has served for the last 4 years as co-chair of the Council of Great City Schools Task Force for Bilingual Education, which she now will relinquish to take over as chair of the Audit Committee and co-chair of the Task Force for Governance, Management, and Leadership. As co-chair of the Task Force for Bilingual Education, Ms. Paz oversaw many accomplishments, including developing national curriculum standards for bilingual math students, standards that increase rigor and culturally relevant curriculum. She feels her biggest success was the amicus brief that the council filed to the U.S. Supreme Court, cited in Chief Justice John Roberts' ruling to eliminate the citizenship question from the 2020 census. That concludes the recognition, Mr. Ramos.
Thank you, Mr. Bond, and congratulations to Trustee Paz. I don't think she's been able to join us yet. Is that correct? Okay. We were going to give her the mic for a bit, but we'll move on. We'll probably give her a chance towards the end of the meeting. Public comment. Let me remind you that because of the restrictions by Texas Open Meetings Act, board members may not engage in a verbal exchange about a subject that has not been posted. We will listen and take notes, but the board is prohibited from responding to any inquiries made during a board meeting on any topic not posted on the agenda. However, the board may reply with 1, a statement of specific factual information given in response to the inquiry, 2, recitation of existing policy in response to the inquiry, or 3, direct the person to visit with staff about the issue. While the board listens to concerns of a general nature, speakers should refrain from mentioning names of individual employees or public officers during their comments. Any employee, parent, or other member of the public is asked to comply with the appropriate grievance policy to have a complaint heard pursuant to the applicable board policy. No presentation may exceed 3 minutes unless the speaker has prior approval for additional time because of the use of a translator. Speakers who require the assistance of a translator are permitted double the allotted time. Speakers who do not require the assistance of a translator. Furthermore, a speaker may not relinquish his or her time to another speaker. I ask that you please observe these rules for the purpose of effectively accomplishing the business of the meeting in a timely manner. Because we are utilizing an online platform, all speakers will be announced to speak in the order they signed up. Mr. Clint Bond will announce the speaker's name, and at that time, his or her microphone will be unmuted for 3 minutes. Before making your comment, state your name and then proceed with your comment. At the end of 3 minutes, your microphone will be muted. Mr. Bond, would you please call our first speaker for this evening?
Yes, sir, Mr. Ramos. Our first speaker is Stephen Poole. Stephen, you may begin.
Thank you. Mr. Ramos, members of the board, and Dr. Scribner, I'm Stephen Poole, Executive Director of UEA. And tonight I just wanted to talk about communication and communication to teachers, staff, and parents. Honestly, yesterday was a disaster in communication, and it was a continuing kind of story of disrespect of teachers, staff, and parents, because they have to find out major decisions of the district in social media posts or through the media. Teachers and staff and parents want information, and they need clear guidance. Should not get that information from press releases to the media. Today's letter from Dr. Scribner, the superintendent, was very clear and concise. And it showed them their respect by sharing that information prior to it hitting the media. We need to continue communication like this. The old communication plan or strategy of sharing it with the media and then maybe sharing it with staff and parents later needs to end. We need to show the respect to our parents and to our teachers and staff. They're partners through all of this together, and we need to be together through all of it. And it's going to take everyone, especially with the Herculean effort of doing online instruction only now. And the respect we show our teachers, staff, and parents is desperately needed right now. So thank you very much, and thank you for the time, Mr. Ramos. If there's anything I can ever do, please let me know.
Our next speaker is Michael Mangram. If you're ready, sir, you may begin. Michael Mangram, are you there? Not hearing Mr. Mangram. We'll come back to that at the end. Ernesto Moran, are you there, sir?
Hello, I'm here.
Mr. Moran, you may begin.
Thank you. Superintendent Scribner and board members, my name is Ernesto Moran. I'm speaking to you as a tax-paying citizen of Fort Worth, as a parent of 3 Fort Worth ISD students, and as a teacher in the district. I understand the need to have students return to in-person instruction. We all share that as our goal. I want the same for my children, but it is just that, a goal, not a prerequisite, and we are not at a place where that is safe for anyone. I want to thank the Tarrant County Health Department for doing its job and following the science and making its announcement today. I don't know what the district would have done about the beginning of the school year without such a statement, but I'm glad I don't have to wonder about it. I also want to thank the superintendent and school board president for writing to the Texas Education Agency to request a delay in children returning to school building. I believe that showed courage and leadership, things that are sorely lacking as I look around my city, state, and country. I hope that the people of Tarrant County do their part in the coming weeks to help our hospitals deal with patients and administer the best care possible without a shortage of manpower, beds, or resources. But I will admit to not having the strongest faith in such action based on what has transpired so far. And as September 28th approaches, if we have not flattened the curve in Tarrant County, I hope the health department and the school board have the courage to once again do their jobs and follow the science. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker is Jordan Douglas. Are you there? Jordan Douglas?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
You may begin, sir.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Jordan Douglas, and I'm a teacher at Arlington Heights High School. I want to thank the school board and trustees, Dr. Scribner, Mayor Price, and all others for all the work you've done since March. You've had to make hard decisions, and I just want you to know that that does not go unnoticed. Yesterday, I became aware that Fort Worth ISD released more information through NBC News regarding the start of the 2021 school year with in-person instruction occurring immediately. Before I go further, I would like to bring forth the point that hearing information about my job from the news stations instead of from the leaders of this district is getting to be the norm during this pandemic. This is information that has the potential to be life-altering or even life-ending, and we have to hear it from Channel 5 News instead of from the leaders of our district. I was very relieved this morning when I received an email from the superintendent stating the change of plans per the Tarrant County Public Health Department. In the future, I would love to hear news regarding my job similar to today, directly from the superintendent or other district leadership, instead of through media outlets. This will definitely be needed in the future for continued success as we transition to or continue with virtual learning. While I completely agree with the decision to do virtual instruction for the first 6 weeks of school, I'm curious as to when the district plans to resume in-person instruction. What is the health department saying that we need the numbers to look like? This would help us gauge how close we are to returning in the future. When it is resumed, what will classroom numbers look like? What supplies will be provided to teachers? When in-person resumes, if a teacher is exposed or contracts the virus and has to quarantine, will they have to use their own sick days, or will the district waive those from being taken from them? Will students who have to be out due to the virus lose credit for their course, since the 10 school days they would have to quarantine automatically make them lose credit? I think ultimately there are still a lot of questions that the district has to answer before teachers can feel safe going back, and thankfully we now have more time before in-person instruction resumes. However, I would like to know the answers to these questions sooner rather than later. I also have heard a lot of people having the opinion that students need to return to in-person instruction for the social emotional well-being of children, which is a concern of mine as well. I know our children need interaction and a safe place to be with 2 meals a day. I am not ignoring that issue. However, a growing concern of mine is also the social emotional impact for both students and teachers of being forced into a situation that for 5 or more months we have been told daily is wrong. Don't be in groups of 10 or more people. Stay outside when you can. Don't be closer than 6 feet to anyone else. In-person instruction goes against what we have been repeatedly told. I hope that when the time comes, as a district, we can find a happy medium for the school year to ensure everyone is healthy both physically and mentally, while providing resources to those who need social or emotional help.
Time,
Those
sir.
are my
Time,
thoughts
sir.
and concerns. Thank you for your time.
Our next speaker is Irma Parga, and Ms. Parga will be using the services of an interpreter. Ms. Parga, you may begin.
Buenas tardes, mesa directiva y superintendente. Mi nombre es Irma Parga.
Good afternoon, and my name is Irma Parga. Thank you for having me here.
Trabajo en la cafetería, tengo 21 años de servicio. Me gusta mucho mi trabajo. Me gustaría regresar, pero no en estas circunstancias.
I've been working in the cafeteria for the last 21 years, and I love my job. But I'm eager to go back, but not under these circumstances.
Yo valoro mucho mi vida, al igual que a los estudiantes y sus familias.
I love my life, and I love the students' family life, as well as their family's life.
Solo quería darles las gracias por no ver a los niños como un número o una logística.
I want to thank you for not seeing the students just as a number, as a part of logistics.
Gracias por verlos como vidas, ya que la pérdida de un solo niño sería muy triste.
Thank you for seeing us as we are part of your lives, because the loss of a child would be a very, very sad moment.
Gracias también por valorar la vida de nosotros los trabajadores.
Also, thank you for taking consideration of our lives as the workers of the school district.
Ya que muchos de nosotros parecemos saludables, pero en realidad no lo es así.
Many of us look healthy, however, it's not that way.
Yo en especial, mi salud no es muy buena. Mi alta presión, mi tiroides, mi hígado y mi obesidad.
Personally, I'm not a very healthy person. I have diabetes, I have liver problems, I have blood pressure problems, and my obesity.
Me hacen una persona muy vulnerable al virus.
I'm a person that is very vulnerable to the virus.
Y tomando en cuenta también que hay compañeros de trabajo que padecen de otras enfermedades más delicadas que las mías.
There's other co-workers that suffers of other kind of sickness who are even worse than mine.
Aparte, hay personas grandes de edad y esto nos costaría la vida.
There's also people that are older than me, and that would cost our lives too.
Les doy las gracias por pensar en nuestras familias, ya que si yo transporto el virus de mi trabajo a mi casa.
I want to thank you for taking care of our families, but I'm concerned about me taking the virus to my house.
Yo tengo mi esposo con alta presión y eso le pudiera a él costarle la vida.
And if I bring the virus to my house, to my husband who has blood pressure problems, that would cost him his life.
Yo no podría vivir en paz sabiendo que por mi culpa mi esposo le llegará a pasar algo trágico.
I couldn't live peacefully knowing that because of me, something happened to my husband.
Porque estamos trabajando con niños muy de cerca. Ya que este virus,
we're working with children very closely.
Ya que este virus no discrimina. Gracias por no vernos como números ni como estadística.
This virus is causing problems to everyone. I appreciate everyone for taking in consideration our lives.
Gracias por vernos como seres humanos. Gracias por seguir luchando por nosotros. Gracias por mantenernos con salud.
Thank you for keeping us like a part of the community. Thank you for keeping us healthy.
Gracias por defendernos, de mantenernos seguros de un enemigo que no podemos ver, pero que sabemos que está ahí.
Thank you for keeping us away from all the problems, knowing that there is an enemy that we cannot see. However, we know it's there.
Gracias por luchar por nuestras vidas.
Thank you for fighting for our lives.
A nombre de mi familia, a nombre de todos los estudiantes de Forward y a nombre mío. Gracias.
On behalf of myself, all the students of the school, of Forward School District, thank you so much.
Nuestras vidas están en sus manos.
Our lives are in your hands.
Our next speaker for this evening is Levi Litton. You may begin.
Good evening. My name is Levi Litton. I'm a secondary teacher in Fort Worth ISD. I have several questions to present, but first let me thank the organizers of this board meeting for the platform to do so. Although today's announcement of a pushback of the school district's starting date to September 28th was welcomed by many teachers, it would be naive to assume that the virus will be gone within that time frame. So the questions I'm asking apply to the September start date or any start date thereafter. I'll begin with a concern for my personal health. Last December, I lost my classroom to an expansion project along with several teachers at my campus. This warrants several concerns, such as how can you ensure my safety and the safety of my colleagues and students, as well as guarantee proper CDC compliant social distancing measures as I travel through the hallways and elevators on campus with my cart. I also think it's worth mentioning that when I do get to my assigned classroom, I'm at the mercy of other teachers, their classroom setup, and their personal social distancing measures. I'm not going to feel comfortable entering a classroom where the teacher does not take proper precautions in protecting the class space from the virus. Am I going to be responsible for purchasing the cleaning supplies to cart around to each classroom? And on that note, will I be responsible for transporting them? What PPE will the school be providing for teachers? And before you add this to the load of responsibilities my campus administrators are responsible for, I think it's important to note that if the district is going to push the initiative for face-to-face instruction, it should be their responsibility how to figure out how to do so safely. But this is concerning to me whether or not students are reporting to the school building. If teachers are required to report to the building, which seems to be the direction, I'm not exactly sure what I'm supposed to do as a floating teacher. Am I guaranteed a safe personal workspace? On the topic of safety, page 10 of the Fort Worth ISD Forward mentions students will be required to wear masks while they're in the classroom. My understanding is the district has only acquired approximately 800,000 masks for the entire year, which just I don't think is enough. And what happens when you run out? Not mandating masks puts the entire room in jeopardy, according to the CDC. If masks are required, and I certainly hope that they are, what are the measures teachers can take to combat insubordinate students who refuse to wear their masks? And furthermore, sending them to be reprimanded unnecessarily exposes administrators. Ultimately, restrictions on teachers to take appropriate action could be in violation of the Texas Education Code, Section 37. And I think we need clear definition on what is allowed and what is not. Finally, if teachers are showing symptoms, what is the protocol that we use to report our absence? As a teacher, I want nothing more than to be in class with my students, but state officials have failed to set in place precautionary measures, and frankly, no teacher or student should fall victim to or die or have to live with permanent health complications from these botched decisions.
Your time has expired, sir.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Malik Austin. You may begin.
Good evening to everybody on the board, and I'm going to thank you for allowing me to speak. To me, I'm in full agreement with some of the other speakers that we have to think safety, not our pocket, by lining your pocketbooks with your money and your kickbacks off your programs. Think about human life. For those who are on the board, you took an oath to service the people. And once the people have spoken, you should adhere to what the people have asked you to do. You don't know enough about the virus. I heard no talk about the beta virus. It's 13 strands out there. The cytokine storm, which is in the second wave. I don't even know why y'all even telling parents that we'd be ready by the 28th. That's a lie. Because I have too many constituents of mine that are, one of my classmates is a CDC doctor, and I have too many people that's around me that's in the medical field. And so, you know, you got to follow the medical science. not your dollar signs. You know, you can't make a proposal of a 2021 bond package if you don't have any students. So whatever programs the board members being kickbacks off of, you know, you just gonna have to learn to find other means for income and think about the safety of our children. The first thing you got to do is think about the safety of the children. If we have to shut down and go to additional initiative when it comes to educating the help parents, that's your job, is to help the parents educate the children. If we have to go back to a different initiative other than the standardization that we've been doing, that's what we got to do. Safety, because you do not know, nobody on that board is a doctor or tied to any doctors. And I know if I have all this information, 4th ISD should have this information. Y'all not putting it out there, you hiding it and act like we don't know, but I'll make it sure that I'm going to put a stage of community forums and inform the community about this beta virus in the cytokine storm that the kids in Nueces County just had 300 cases of children contracting the coronavirus. And so we don't know enough about this virus, and it affects everybody different. And now once y'all have no empathy for children for having pre-existing conditions, how they can be exposed. We don't know that. And so y'all have to get off your little horses and start listening to the people, man. And that's the only thing I ask y'all to do, man, is take the safety of your the people that's working in 4th ISD, well as the children. At this point in time, we need to keep our kids home. We need to stay safe until you submit us with some form of data that tells us that our children will be safe in your schools. There's no way in the world that you should allow any child going to
Your time has expired, sir.
All right, thank you.
Our next speaker is Simon Rosavi. You may begin. Simon Rosavi.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Good evening, all the board members. I appreciate the opportunity to share my grave concerns. Me and my wife are teachers at Fort Worth ISD, and in March, schools were closed due to increasing COVID-19 deaths and transmission rates in Texas. Over the next 4 months, deaths and transmission rates have increased substantially and have gotten out of control in Tarrant County and our neighboring counties. Now, as we break daily records for infections and deaths in our county, we dare to consider requiring teachers and staff to return to their schools to teach online during the most unsafe and dangerous time of this pandemic. We cannot guarantee the safety or livelihoods of the teachers or students if schools are reopened at Fort Worth ISD. But what is guaranteed if we open up the doors is the infection rates and deaths due to COVID-19 will continue to surge in our communities as a result of reopening. We as educators bear the responsibility to safely educate our students and stop the spread of this highly contagious disease. Go ahead.
Good evening, board members. I'd like to also thank you for the time and the opportunity. I'm going to continue. Schools are not hospitals capable of mitigating the significant spread of this deadly virus as it surges. Our HVAC systems in our schools do not have filtration systems that can filter out COVID-19, and school buildings have poor ventilation. So as we teach aloud in our classrooms, the same contaminated, unfiltered air will be circulating in our schools for everyone to breathe. This will substantially spread the virus. Hundreds of teachers and staff per school are being demanded to return to our campuses, forcing us to send our own children to daycare centers to be exposed to this disease and to risk our lives and the lives of our families. Schools should not be reopened this fall for the students, teachers, or staff to occupy. Instead, teaching and learning should exclusively remain online from the safety of our homes until the infection rates are well below 5% contained and an effective vaccine has been produced. We can educate and teach our students online if given the opportunity. Teachers are the most resourceful, creative, and innovative people on earth. With the support of our district and communities, we can effectively teach our students safely online.
Thank you again.
Thank you for your time.
Clint, I believe you're muted. Clint.
I'm sorry. For the record, the second speaker was Larnicia Razavi. And the next speaker would have been Tracy Stitcher, who asked that the following statement be read. During Superintendent Scribner's meeting with reporters today, it was mentioned that special education students with IEPs might be meeting with their teachers in person at the school. I would like more details about this. How exactly would it work? Our next speaker will be Orion Smith. Are you there?
Yes, I am.
You may begin.
Thank you. Good evening, President Ramos, members of the board, and Dr. Scribner. My name is Orion Smith. I teach proudly at Arlington Heights High School. I'm a resident and a parent of an FWISD student. First of all, I want to thank the board and administration for working with the county public health authorities and the TEA. No decision right now is easy, and we are all working as hard as possible to make the best of our situation. But this delay of in-person instruction was the best call for the safety of students and families and educators in Fort Worth ISD. Like all of our excellent teachers, I'll be sad not to see my students in August, and I will work as hard as possible to give them the best online experience that I can. Also, however, like many teachers, including several who have already spoken, I'm a parent of an F, in my case, a 4-year-old entering pre-K. Given those additional challenges, I asked the board to consider two options to support both safety and the needs of our staff. First, we've heard thus far the idea that teachers will teach synchronous lessons for 4 hours each day from on-campus locations. Given that an internet connection is all that is really needed to teach virtually, we should consider flexibility to teach from home where we can also support our family needs. This is, of course, also safer, as it would reduce transmission vectors within campuses while the virus surges outside. Second, if remote instruction cannot be accomplished remotely, please consider allowing teachers to provide childcare for their own children by bringing them to school with us. I don't think that will make instruction ideal. I'm not excited about the idea of putting my child at risk, but it will, again, make a series of impossible choices less impossible. I have faith that with the inputs of educators and community members, we can do what we need to serve the needs of our students. So thank you for your time and for leading the way towards equity and educational achievement for our students.
Our next speaker will be Erica Perez. If you're there, you may begin.
Hello, everyone on the board. My name is Erica Perez. School is now set to start face-to-face instruction on September 28th. My son is in a special education class and cannot do virtual instruction. He has tried doing virtual instruction for his therapies for speech, and it has not worked. It seems to me that Fort Worth ISD has been thinking of general ed classes and has forgot about the special education students. I know there's more students that will not be able to sit in front of a computer and do virtual learning due to their learning disabilities. What is going to be done about situations like this? Also, when you return to school face-to-face instruction, what will be the face mask requirements for special education students? I know regular general ed students can wear their face masks and will, but what about the special education students that can't or won't even keep them on? How are we going to make sure that they're safe? Face shields also won't work. We want them and everyone else to be safe, but what can we do about this? What can be done for our special education students? If we send them to school, we're selfish. If we keep them home, we're living in fear. Every single one of us is in a hard place, and all we want is answers. We just hope that you can consider this issue and address it and let us know what is going to be done. Thank you for your time.
You're on mute, Mr. Bond.
Sorry. Aaron Blythe, you're the next speaker. Are you ready?
I am. Thank you. Good evening, board members. Can you hear me?
Yes, that they can.
My name is Aaron Blythe.
You're the next speaker. Are you ready?
I'm sorry, there's a delay. My name is Erin Blythe, and I am both a Fort Worth ISD educator going on 13 years with the district, as well as the only living parent of 2 children enrolled in Fort Worth ISD schools. So Fort Worth ISD is a part of our family and dictates a large part of our lives. And the news today has brought mixed reactions, as you can imagine. On one hand, it's great to have some answers, but on the other hand, it leads to more questions. First, knowing that students will not be returning for the first 6 weeks, please announce your plans for teachers, meaning if you intend for them to return to campus, let us know. Also, unless other city entities are working at their places of business as usual and school board meetings are being held in person, it would be difficult to understand why you would ask teachers to do something different. If you do intend for us to return, please create and make a clear process in which teachers can apply to work from home. Also consider allowing teachers to bring their children to work as necessary. We must provide allowances for our children and our staff during these unprecedented times. Second, TEA is not setting firm standards for health and safety. 6 feet when possible is not an acceptable standard of safety in our classrooms. As a scholastic entity which prides itself on data and research, we should not entertain that condition. It's weak and scientifically unsupported. Some things I think they got right are like the radical notion of allowing for modification of pretty much everything, including creating consistent cohorts, which might make middle and high school look a lot different and would allow the possibility of contact tracing at each campus. It would ensure a closed group of contacts, and that if someone was diagnosed, it would not cause an entire school shutdown, but rather a classroom shutdown. Radical times calls for radical action, and I ask that you consider radical action in order to get our most vulnerable students back into a safe classroom. We can only do this by providing the best online learning experiences and creating strict criteria for in-person learning. Also, please embrace asynchronous learning versus synchronous for flexibility. And please embrace virtual learning, not for temporary relief, but for the long game. It might be new to us, but it is not new, and it can work for many learners. COVID has exposed our old ways of thinking about education and is providing an opportunity. For those who used the spring as a warning, this spring was not an example of online learning. It was a lesson in emergency learning. Educators want to teach. We just need the appropriate tools and time. Investing in a comprehensive MLS like Blackboard, Canvas, or something that would contribute.
Ma'am, your time has expired.
Fantastic. Thank you, board members.
And our last speaker for this evening is James Saylor. You may begin, James. James Saylor. James Saylor. I'll go back to the one speaker who was not at the beginning, Mr. Ramos, Michael Mangram.
Yes, I'm here.
You may begin, sir.
Good evening. My name is Michael Mangram. I'm a bilingual 5th grade teacher in the dual language program at W.M. Green Elementary. After several weeks of uncertainty and a weekend fraught with tension, after reading news reports suggesting we're going back into the classroom on August 17th, in the midst of this ongoing pandemic crisis, I was glad to read Dr. Scribner's email this morning that announced a responsible, data-driven return date to keep us all safe in these extenuating circumstances. I was glad that I didn't see it on Facebook or in the news first. On behalf of my colleagues and students, I would like to express my gratitude and support for this date, return date. I'm looking forward to seeing what plan we have. There are people that disparage teachers that do not want to return to in-person instruction at this time. And to those individuals, I haven't heard anyone on this call tonight. I would remind anyone that would criticize us that we are classroom teachers. The classroom is where we work, and that's where we want to be, but now it's simply not the time. I grew up in the Rio Grande Valley, which is currently suffering an acute COVID-induced healthcare crisis. Yesterday, I received a call from my mother shortly after 5 in the evening, and she told me that a childhood friend had passed away from COVID yesterday at 4:45 p.m. Adam Ibarra is younger than me, was younger than me. He left behind small children. Adam Ibarra passed away because there was no room for him in Valley Hospital. I believe that the start date that I read in Dr. Scribner's email is data-driven, and there's one local data point that stands out to me. According to Tarrant County Public Health Statistics, there's 654 ventilators in Tarrant County. 395 are currently available. I just wonder what would happen to that ratio if 84,000 students were to return to campus in less than a month, go home, be with family, be with friends, be with grandparents, and do everything that we do. I want to thank you. I saw on the agenda there's some resources that are going to be designated to help us deliver equitable, high-quality virtual instruction. I want to thank you for having the strength and integrity to make the best decision or to start to make good decisions for the safety of us all. And although there's many issues that we still need to work through, please continue to let the well-being of all of us, even those that are inconvenienced or that do not see the validity of these measures, to drive our eventual return to the classroom. Thank you.
Still on mute, Mr. Bond.
Sorry, I have a dog that keeps barking in the background. So one last call for James Saylor for public comment. Mr. Saylor, are you there? Mr. Ramos, that concludes public comment.
Thank you, Mr. Bond, and thank you all for sharing your thoughts this evening. We will now move on to reports and presentations. I will turn it over to Dr. Scribner and the team for a presentation on the property tax rate.
Thank you very much, President Ramos, members of the board, and Fort Worth school community. Tonight, we are calendared to share with you our tax rate information moving forward. We have, as you've heard in public comment, a great deal of work to do in the coming year and the need to invest in our students. And at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Mike Ball, our CFO, who will take us through this initial presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Scribner. Thank you, President Ramos. Hopefully we have a PowerPoint presentation related to this topic. And we do intend to, if we could go to the next slide, we want to just talk a little bit about, very quickly, the timeline that's before us. On July 25th of this month, we're expecting to receive the certified property value roll from the county appraisal district. And that date is prescribed in statute. And then because of the provisions of Senate Bill 2, which will provide us a little bit of tax relief this year, the Texas Education Agency will make some computations related to our tax rate and provide that information to us, scheduled to be by August the 5th. And then we're required to publish the proposed tax rate for the board's consideration on August the 7th, which is 10 days prior to the meeting date at which we intend to place on the agenda for the board's action and consideration the adoption of the tax rate. So that's kind of the timeline that we're faced with. So if we could go to the next slide. This slide talks about one of the two components of the tax rate. This is the maintenance and operations tax rate component. It's referred to as the M&O tax rate. And we anticipate that our compressed tax rate, which will be calculated by TEA, will be either 0.9164 or below. And so we're proposing to publish the highest rate that it could be, because we are allowed to reduce from what we published, but we can't go above that. And so we'll start there, add 6 cents of enrichment pennies that have previously been approved, and then a proposed enrichment of 11 pennies that would be proposed for a total rate of $1 8 cents and 64/100 cents. And that is a change from the current rate of 9.64 pennies. So if we could advance to the next slide, this is the second component of the total tax. The debt service rate, or the INS rate, which stands for interest and sinking fund rate. That is the way that portion of the rate is referred to in statute. And we're not proposing any changes to that rate. The current rate and the proposed rate is 29.2 cents. And so we do have tomorrow morning actually a pricing of a bond sale that's a part of our 2017 bond authorization. We will have a sale tomorrow morning, and we do not anticipate any change to the interest and sinking fund tax rate or the debt service fund tax rate. And if we could go to the next slide, then what we would propose to publish is a maintenance and operations proposed tax rate of 1.0864 and a proposed interest and sinking fund tax rate of 0.292 for a total proposed tax rate of $1.37.84 cents. And that compares to the total tax rate of a current rate of 1.282, which again is a change from the current rate of 0.0964 cents. And there is no action needed tonight. We just want the board to be aware of these requirements as we approach the meeting date of August 17th. We will need to publish these rates by August 7th, and certainly be pleased to answer any questions that the board might have about this, President Ramos.
Okay, my colleagues, if you would use the same little deal. I see Mr. Norman Robbins already has his hand up, so we'll go with him. My colleagues, if you would use the little raise hand button under the participants tab, and we'll go from there. So Mr. Robbins.
Thank you, President Ramos, and thank you for this report. I'm curious, can you give us an example of what the new tax rate, what the impact will be on a home of, say, $200,000, $150,000, something like that?
Absolutely. The average home in the district, Trustee Robbins, is the latest data that we have, which was from the June report, which is a preliminary report from the appraisal district. The average home in the district is valued at about $168,000, and the tax on that would be an increase of about $13 per month. And I have a schedule that I'm searching for right now as I'm speaking in my notebook here that shows the impact on a couple of other values. If you'll give me a moment to see if I can put my hand on that, I will. Here we go. A $250,000 valued home would be $20 per month. A $300,000 home would be a $24 per month, and a $350,000 home would be $28 per month increase.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Robbins. Great question.
Any other questions from my colleagues on the board? I don't see any little blue hands. Anael, Trustee Lebanos.
Thank you, President Ramos. I was trying to find the hand. So how much money are we expecting to gain at the end of the year if we pass this tax increase?
The estimate is about additional $65 million per year in additional revenue.
And that will be a straight, that will be money for the district, right?
Yes.
55.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? We have Trustee Daphne Brooklyn.
Yes, I was wondering, so the tax increase, will the funds that we receive be used to help with our technology issues to make sure that all of our students are covered with this online learning? And yeah, I see Dr. Scrivener shaking his head. So that's very important. If that's where we're going to increase the funds for, we definitely need that.
Absolutely. That's certainly one of the things that we have in mind, Trustee Brookins. A great observation.
If I may, Mike, we know, as you've seen in recent media reports, that the state of Texas is experiencing up to a $5 billion shortfall. We expect that public schools will be affected. The current communication that we have received is that the TEA is going to allow us a floor of funding through the first 12 weeks. Interestingly, that takes us up to the election, October 30th. After that, we really are going to have to be vigilant. Several of us, I know President Ramos in his role as a leader of state organizations, and my role as Texas Urban Council chair, will be down in Austin quite regularly. Our plan with any dollars that we're able to maintain would be to focus on teacher pay, obviously, health and safety needs for our students, the additional costs of PPE, of masks, of shields, of fog machines, of plexiglass, and then of course the connectivity, the technology needs, Wi-Fi towers, investing along with philanthropy and business. So we really want to be able to position ourselves for success through and beyond the pandemic.
Thank you. Next, we have a question or comment from Trustee Andar.
Thank you, President Ramos, and thank you, Mr. Ball. I appreciate Daphne's comment regarding how we're going to be using this additional fund, because I think that makes a big difference in how I choose to vote for something. So the more specifics that we can have in that respect, the better, because I think that's a key piece of the equation when we're trying to make a decision such as this. I also appreciate Dr. Scrivener mentioning the technology, the fact that the funding has been somewhat guaranteed for just the first 12 weeks, but the state is in a bit of a financial crisis as well. And I know that since the funding that Fort Worth ISD received from the CARES Act, the state has reduced the amount of funding to Fort Worth ISD and to every other school district in the state of Texas, for that matter. That's significant because we have a lot of significant expenses that we've never had before, whether it's cleaning or PPE or additional staff in order to provide the services that students need. So any specific information that we can have before that August 17th workshop would be greatly appreciated regarding how this additional funding will be used. And I think it's important that our constituents have access to that information as well, because this is their money that we are responsible for and that we are looking at increasing their tax rate. So we need that information to make sure that the public understands how that money will be used. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dar, and we certainly will do that.
Thank you for that. Looks like we don't have any other questions or comments from the board. Thank you for the presentation, Mr. Ball and Dr. Scrivener. We will now move on to item number 6, which is discussion of consent agenda items. As board president, I'm making the following statement in accordance with the board policy BBFA local. This is a reminder to all school board members of the legal conflict of interest requirements and disclosure requirements you may have for matters under consideration on the agenda for this meeting. If required by law, board members shall recuse themselves from all discussion and shall abstain from voting on any matter pertaining to such a disclosure. go around and ask each one of my colleagues to see if you have any questions concerning the consent agenda. We'll begin with District 2 Trustee Toby Jackson. Do you have any questions or comments on consent agenda?
No, President Ramos, I do not.
Thank you. District 3 Trustee Quentin Phillips.
No questions, sir.
Thank you. District 4 Trustee Daphne Brookins.
Not at this time.
Thank you. District 5 Trustee CJ Evans.
No questions.
Thank you. District 6 Trustee Ann Dar.
No questions, just a brief comment that we have quite a few initiatives on this consent agenda tonight that we're voting on that are programs that are being used on campus and with students and by teachers. And I support these programs, but I also would just like to make a plea as we go through the year. Again, I'm going to go back to my data thing, and that is the more data we have to show that these programs are truly working for our students, the easier it is to support them and to continue to want to make sure that they're a part of the learning environment for our students. So it helps me to know that these programs that we're voting on tonight are being used with fidelity and that they are truly making a difference in the lives of students. So the more data that we have to support that, the easier it is for us to continue to support this year after year. So thank you.
Thank you. District 7 Trustee Norman Robbins.
I would like to echo what Trustee Dar just said. When we are brought these, for renewal on either an annual basis or a multi-year basis, it would really be great for us to see the results from the previous programs. And, it doesn't have to be voluminous, but just giving us an idea that, yes, these really do work. We want to make sure that we're investing in things that make a difference to our students and our teachers. And so if we could have that kind of information in detail, it would be very helpful. And also during the year, if there is information that's available that could reinforce the decisions that we are making this evening, that would be a wonderful thing. I don't have any questions or other comments besides that. So thank you, President Ramos.
Thank you, Mr. Robbins. District 8 Trustee Ana Luevanos.
Thank you, President Ramos. I would like to echo what Trustee Robbins and Trustee Dart said about these programs. But I would also like to see the report to see how these programs are impacting the lives of our students. So with that, I have no other questions or comments. Thank you.
Thank you. District 9 Trustee Ashley Paz.
I have no questions or comments.
Okay. And I'm District 1 Trustee Jacinto Ramos Jr. I don't have questions. I just have a comment of what my concerns with items 1, B1, and B2 as we continue to have more conversations around SROs, the school to prison pipeline, that I'm hopeful that we have provided the professional development to our teachers in our juvenile detention center, where some of our most vulnerable and most marginalized young people sit in, and also at the JJAEP campus, and that being just in the form of courageous conversations about race training, things of that nature, so that we ensure those young people and those adults working with them have the support that they need. So no questions from my end, other than just that statement. I will take a moment to bring us back to the recognition portion, where Trustee Paz, we recognize you and the work that you've been doing at the Council of the Great City Schools. I'd like to give you an opportunity to be able to speak on that recognition. The floor is yours.
Yes, thank you. I was actually having some technology difficulties earlier, so thank you for coming back. And thank you for the recognition. It is, anyone who has watched over the years that I've been on the school board has known how much I have spoken positively about the work that Council of the Great City Schools does. And everything from our governance framework to the work that we're doing with racial equity and so many other initiatives in Fort Worth ISD have been sparked from conversations with Council of the Great City Schools. And to join the ranks of their leadership is just one of the biggest honors of my life. And the fact that my colleagues across the country, superintendents and board members, would have that kind of faith in me is still, I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know that they know what they're thinking, but we're excited to do lots of good work and to help lead districts like Fort Worth ISD through these kinds of difficult situations. And they've already provided so many great resources through weekly school board member or board rep and president calls, and through other job-alike sessions. And it's an honor to serve and to be able to represent Fort Worth ISD in this capacity. So thank you for the recognition.
You got it. Congratulations again, and knowing that that is no easy task, and the work that you all do, there are a lot of amazing equity warriors, and you sit among the top of them. So thank you for all the work that you've done. Looks like we are going to move on to, we're going to go to exec. So we will now, I'm sorry, the time is 6:31 p.m. The date is Tuesday, July 21st, 2020. We will now recess and reconvene virtually for executive session as authorized by Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code under sections 551.071, .072, and .076. I think we have a quorum. We'll get started. In accordance with the open meetings law, the board opened a meeting at 5:30 p.m. in a private video conference with a quorum present, recessed and reconvened open session virtually, adjourned regular session, convened executive session, adjourned executive session, and now is reconvened in open session at 8:48 p.m. in the public virtual video conference with a quorum present. The trustees who are present virtually are, and I'll call you by name if you would just say you're present. District 2 Trustee Toby Jackson.
Present.
District 3 Trustee Quentin Phillips.
Present.
Thank you. District 4 Trustee Daphne Brookins.
Present.
Thank you. District 5 Trustee CJ Evans.
Present.
Thank you. District 6 Trustee Andar.
Present.
District 7 Trustee Norman Robbins.
Present.
District 8 Trustee Ana Luevanos.
Present.
District 9 Trustee Ashley Paz.
Present.
And I'm District 1 Trustee Jacinto Ramos Jr., and I'm present. Moving on to accepting consent agenda items. We'll be looking for a motion accepting consent agenda items.
So moved, Jackson.
The motion by,
Pause.
thank you. So we have a motion by Trustee Toby Jackson. We have a second by Trustee Ashley Paz. Do we have any discussion? I'll call on each trustee just to ensure if we have any discussion. Trustee Toby Jackson.
No discussion.
Trustee Quentin Phillips. Trustee Daphne Brookins.
No discussion.
Thank you. Trustee CJ Evans.
No discussion.
Trustee Andar.
No discussion.
Trustee Norman Robbins.
No discussion.
Trustee Ana Luevanos.
No discussion.
Trustee Ashley Paz.
No discussion.
I also have no discussion. We will move to vote. As I call your names, please say yes or no. District 2 Trustee Toby Jackson.
Yes.
District 3 Trustee Quentin Phillips.
Yes. Sorry about that.
Okay. District 4 Trustee Daphne Brookins.
Yes.
District 5 Trustee CJ Evans.
Yes.
District 6 Trustee Andar.
Yes.
7 Trustee Norman Robbins.
Yes.
District 8 Trustee Ana Luevanos.
Yes.
Thank you. District 9 Trustee Ashley Paz.
Yes.
And I am District 1 Trustee Jacinto Ramos Jr., and I vote yes. So the motion passes unanimously, 9-4 and 0 against. We will skip over number 12 since no items were removed from the agenda. And we'll be moving on to 13A, action agenda items. 13A is discussion and action to approve memorandum of understanding between Fort Worth Independent School District and Texas Wesleyan University to operate early collegiate high school at Dunbar High School. Do I have a motion?
So moved, Jackson.
We have a-
Second, Anael.
Thank you. We have a motion by trustee Toby Jackson. We have a second by trustee Ana Luevanos. I'll call on each trustee for discussion, if you have any. Toby Jackson,
No discussion.
Quentin Phillips,
No discussion.
Daphne Brookins,
No discussion.
CJ Evans,
No discussion.
Ann Dar,
No discussion.
Norman Robbins,
No discussion.
Ana Luevanos,
No discussion.
Ashley Paz,
No discussion.
and I'm Jacinto Ramos Jr., and I have no discussion. We'll move to vote. As I call your names, trustees, please say yes, no, or abstain. District 2, trustee Toby Jackson.
Yes.
District 3, trustee Quentin Phillips.
Yes.
District 4, trustee Daphne Brookins.
Yes.
District 5, trustee CJ Evans.
Yes.
District 6, trustee Ann Dar.
Yes.
District 7, trustee Norman Robbins.
Yes.
District 8, trustee Ana Luevanos.
Yes.
District 9, trustee Ashley Paz.
Yes.
And I'm District 1, trustee Jacinto Ramos Jr., and I vote yes. The motion passes unanimously, 9-4 and 0 against. We will move on to 13B, which is discussion and action to approve payment for the 2020-2021 school year for the administrative support, professional services, and payroll of the Leadership Academy Network, Texas Wesleyan Management Team. Do I have a motion?
Robbins, so moved.
Pause second.
Thank you. We have a motion by trustee Norman Robbins. We have a second by trustee Ashley Paz. Call on each trustee for any discussion, if any at all. Trustee Toby Jackson,
No discussion.
trustee Quentin Phillips,
No discussion.
trustee Daphne Brookins,
No discussion.
trustee CJ Evans,
No discussion.
trustee Ann Dar,
No discussion.
trustee Norman Robbins,
No discussion.
trustee Ana Luevanos,
No discussion.
trustee Ashley Paz,
No discussion.
and I'm District 1, trustee Jacinto Ramos Jr., and I have no discussion. We'll now move to vote. As I call your name, trustees, please say yes, no, or abstain. District 2, trustee Toby Jackson.
Yes.
District 3, trustee Quentin Phillips.
Yes.
District 4, trustee Daphne Brookins.
Yes.
District 5, trustee CJ Evans.
Yes.
District 6, trustee Ann Dar.
Yes.
District 7, trustee Norman Robbins.
Yes.
District 8, trustee Ana Luevanos.
Yes.
District 9, trustee Ashley Paz.
Yes.
And I am District 1, trustee Jacinto Ramos Jr., and I vote yes. The motion all passes unanimously, 9-4 and 0 against. Moving on to 13C, discussion and action to approve second reading revisions to board policy EIC local. Do I have a motion?
Dar, so moved.
Second, Jackson.
We have a motion by trustee Andar. We have a second by trustee Toby Jackson. Call on each trustee for any discussion, if any at all. Trustee Toby Jackson,
No discussion.
trustee Quentin Phillips,
No discussion.
trustee Daphne Brookins,
No discussion.
trustee CJ Evans,
No discussion.
trustee Andar,
No discussion.
trustee Norman Robbins,
No discussion.
trustee Ana Luevanos,
No discussion.
trustee Ashley Paz.
No discussion.
And I am Jacinto Ramos Jr., and I have no discussion to add. We'll move to vote. As I call your name, trustees, please say yes, no, or abstain. District 2, trustee Toby Jackson.
Yes.
District 3, trustee Quentin Phillips.
Yes.
District 4, trustee Daphne Brookins.
Yes.
District 5, trustee CJ Evans.
Yes.
District 6, trustee Andar.
Yes.
District 7, trustee Norman Robbins.
Yes.
District 8, trustee Ana Luevanos.
Yes.
District 9, trustee Ashley Paz.
Yes.
And I am District 1, trustee Jacinto Ramos Jr., and I vote yes. Motion passes unanimously, 9-4 and 0 against. We have come to the end of our board meeting. Item number 14, for comments by board members or superintendent on current district activities on and/or announcements. We'll see if call each one of you individually, see if you have any comments you'd like to make. District 2 trustee Toby Jackson.
I do have one comment. I want to extend a thank you to Gabriel Starling, son of Gloria Starling, who is the person that runs the Capitol Grill downtown. Gabe not only donated supplies and food to our kids in Poly, he also has created a video to teach them how to properly wear their masks, which he also donated. And he also has won in the Fort Worth Business Press a rising star of 40 under out to Gabe.
Thank you, trustee Jackson. District 3 trustee Quentin Phillips.
Yes, sir. Thank you, President Ramos. And just simply want to state that I'm pleased that we were able to get information out to teachers, get the information out to the community today. Very pleased that some answers are starting to be provided, and just simply encourage everyone to be a part of the town halls that we have coming, because we want to further communicate with you. We want to hear from you. So please be participants in the town halls that you'll see coming forth very soon. Thanks everyone for all the work that's being done on those fronts.
Thank you, trustee Phillips. District 4 trustee Daphne Brookins.
I just wanted to thank Dr. Scribner and the rest of the staff for working diligently to get the information out to our families and our community about the waiting to open up the school in person in September. That shows our community that we do care about our students and we do care about our staff. And I just want them to know that we appreciate all the hard work that they put in to make sure that that information was got out there.
Thank you, trustee Brookins. District 5 trustee CJ Evans.
Thank you, President Ramos. I just want to echo what Q said about welcoming, eagerly awaiting to hear from people at the virtual town halls coming up. And so there's one in Spanish on Monday, and then Tuesday in English. And even with as things roll out, we know there's probably lots of questions and will continue to be questions. So we're going to be there Monday and Tuesday listening.
Thank you, trustee Evans. District 6 trustee Andor.
Thank you, President Ramos. Just real quickly, I was in a session the other day, at a professional learning session through TASB, which is the Texas Association of School Boards. And I heard a superintendent talk about how this event should be a transformative opportunity. And we do have a transformative opportunity to not just do what we've always done, but to find better ways to provide education to children. And I recognize the importance of face-to-face and in-person education. And I recognize the opportunity that virtual education can be providing for students across the district and across our state. So I'm going to focus on those two words going forward, and that is transformative opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, trustee Dar. District 7 trustee Norman Robbins.
Thank you, President Ramos. I would just like to assure our constituents that the board and the district staff take our communications responsibility very, very seriously. And we pledge to you to do our very best to get the word out just as soon as possible. We have had a very difficult time, as you might imagine, coming up with the reality that we have faced, and nailing down specifics has been very, very challenging. But we do pledge to you, particularly to our staff, that we will communicate fully and transparently with you just as soon as we can, let you know what we know. We pledge to you that we seek and want your feedback. We want the feedback from the community. We must have feedback from our staff and from our community in order to make this effort truly successful. And as Trustee Dar just said, I do believe that there will be some goodness that comes from all of this. It's hard to imagine what it is right now, but there will be, and we are pledged to make the very best of what we have to offer you and your students. We want to make sure that they're as successful as they can be. And we appreciate support, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Trustee Robbins. District 8 Trustee Ana Luevanos.
Thank you, President Ramos. I would like to echo what my colleague just said. These new town hall meetings on Tuesday and Monday of next week, and like Trustee Robbins mentioned, our communications, we will pleasure you to continue to keep you informed on the latest on what's happening in our district. And I want to thank Superintendent and the leadership on his leadership team for all the work they are doing to reinvent the wheel on teaching virtual. So there's no summer for you guys. So I want to thank you for all that hard work to be able to be ready for the next coming weeks. So thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Luevanos. District 9 Trustee Ashley Paz.
Unmute helps. So I echo everything that was just said by my colleagues. And I would like to thank everyone who has reached out, with questions, concerns. And I have, this is one of, I think, the hardest thing that we have any of us have had to experience in this leadership journey on serving as school board members. And definitely, it's unprecedented, and I am extremely grateful for our staff who has indeed worked through the summer. I saw a post today on social media where they said, well, the school district, admitted our downtown, they're on vacation until July 27th. And I was like, no, they are not on vacation. No one has gotten a vacation this summer. But it is, everyone has worked very, very, very hard. And I'm just really grateful for all of that and for all of the feedback. Everyone who has reached out to me has been so understanding, and everyone has their perspective and their feelings about what they want to see happen. But everyone that I've spoken to has acknowledged that they know that the district is going to do the best thing that they can for kids, and I have seen nothing short of that. I think everyone is doing the best with the tools that they have. And so on a slightly unrelated note, but talking about doing the best with the tools that we have, I got a message from Principal Albury from the Young Women's Leadership Academy this afternoon, and I wanted to just give her and the staff at YWLA some praise. She sent me the results from their 2020 AP testing. So from 2016 to 2020, they have gone from 274 students taking the exam to 426 students taking the exam. And this is a small school, so these are 10th, 11th, and 12th graders. But even with adding that many students taking the exam, they have increased from 29.3 students passing with at least a 3, which is where they get college credit for their AP courses. So that in 2016 they had 29.3%, and then this past year they had 53%. But the truly remarkable number is that of the percentage of that of those students, of the graduating seniors, 96.8 of our young women from the Young Women's Leadership Academy passed at least one AP test with a score of 3 or higher. So, I don't often have those kinds of outcomes shared with me. So I wanted to take the opportunity and turn it back to why we're here and what we're doing, and getting these kinds of outcomes is definitely what we want to see. So congratulations to all of the seniors who graduated from Young Women's that have done the hard work, and the teachers that helped to get them there. And that's all I've got to say today.
Thank you, Trustee Paz. Superintendent Dr. Kent Scribner. You're on mute, Dr. Scribner.
Thank you very much, President Ramos. Two things very quickly. First, I want to express my appreciation to our teachers, our principals, support staff, particularly our faculty, though, for their dedication and commitment to kicking off the school year on the virtual platform until at least the 28th of September. And second, I too concur with the trustees who are excited about being part of the 2 town halls Monday night on the 27th of September at 5 p.m. That will be taking place in Spanish. We're looking forward to welcoming Ana Luevanos, CJ Evans, and Jacinto Ramos and myself. And then on Tuesday night in English with Q, Trustee Quentin Phillips, Norman Robbins, and Jacinto Ramos and myself. Looking forward to participating in both those town halls. Look forward to it. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Scribner. Thank you, my colleagues. I too am looking forward to the virtual town halls. I'm looking to really come in and listen and hear. I anticipate I'm going to hear a lot of confusion, a lot of hurt, a lot of pain, a lot of things. And I can't remember which book my colleague, Trustee Ashley Paz, had me read this time around and where it came from. I just know it's got to be one of the books that she suggested. That I'm not in a place, I'll speak for what's true for me. I can't be in a place where I'm going to walk in or continue to say that I'm trying to empathize. And the way it was described in the book is that empathy is if I'm walking past someone who has a huge boulder on their shoulders, that's tough. And let me see what that feels like, and let me try to hold my own boulder. I think right now, I personally am going to walk in a space of compassion, of acknowledging and recognizing power differentials, and also where I sit right here, right now, and that I actually have the privilege and the power to have good functioning internet, that I have food in my refrigerator, and that my son, who's going to be a freshman in school this year, has more than enough resources to get done what he needs to get done. And so I will be coming in a form of compassion, which is not for me to walk by and say, let me see how heavy that is, but to lean in and to go over and try to actually help someone who's carrying a huge boulder. So know, please, community, that as we enter this space for virtual town halls, I, for one, anticipate not only the bad things, but I'm also hoping to hear about the good things that we're doing, but know that I'm going to enter the space that way. So I hope that you're able to show up in the virtual town halls, speak your truth, let us know what you're really feeling, believing, thinking. That way our board and our team can get to some excellent action quadrants. As you all have been vocal to this point, we want to make sure that we're going to create that platform, and it will be continuous. Although you see a handful of trustees on there, know that we as a board have discussed, and there will be continual virtual town halls, and you will see my other colleagues on there as well. With that, my friends, there are no more comments. Looks like we are ending our meeting. The meeting is coming to a close at 9:09 p.m. This meeting is officially adjourned. Everyone be safe.